Greetings, Galactic Jedis of the New Earth. How's everyone doing out there? Surprise, surprise. We are here. Today is Thursday, October 26th, I believe. How's everyone doing out there? Welcome, welcome. I see Elena S., Ben. I see Byron, Colley. I see Sandy, Lee Star, Cosmo Grow, Elizabeth Namaste, Oscar Matias, Universe Guardians, Mario, Menir, Colleen Cuddington, Nancy, Cosmo Grow, and everyone else who is here at this time. Thank you so much for joining me. And I also want to welcome any newcomers to my live. Thank you for being here. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. How are you guys doing? Well, you know, a lot of things have been going on since we last talked. Things are continuing to escalate in the Middle East. Something I want to talk about before I get into some of the topics that I have here for you guys is the idea that our consciousness, our collective consciousness, is what ultimately creates scenarios and realities and circumstances. What the deep state is trying to do is they're trying to pity, right? They want people to take sides. We're either going to side with, you know, Islam, the Palestinians, or we're either going to side with Israel. Well, that's the old methodology. It's called the Hegelian dialect, to be correct. It is where they have two sides, opposing sides, and through this intelligently orchestrated conflict, they're able to control both sides and keep everyone divided, fighting each other. And that's what they want to do. They want us to literally use our collective mind to believe that we are in the beginning stages of the Third World War, and they know that if enough people believe that, if they could get enough people to really believe that, right, to drink the Kool-Aid and really believe that this, you know, Third World War is inevitable, then that's exactly what's going to happen. But again, this is why I remind you guys to completely disregard any negative mainstream, or even if it comes from the alternative media. I know that there is a lot of videos out there circulating right now that are just like really, you know, instigating conflict, getting people all aroused about the scenario, getting people in fear mode. And this is a tactic, guys. This is definitely a tactic by the deep state, okay? Because they know that our collective consciousness is what ultimately creates the reality for all of humanity. So it is important to not put your energy or attention into war or into the conflict. Do not take sides. You know, while Brandon is secretly, you know, financing the, you know, whatever you want to call them, Hamas, they're also secretly sending resources and finances to Israel. So the deep state is providing both sides with finances and armaments, okay? So it's part of a game, guys. Don't buy into it. And it's important to really, really not put any of your attention into any of that stuff. Because, you know, they believe that if they could get enough people to be in fear mode, that eventually this would happen. But again, it's not going to happen. Not under our watch, okay? Now, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I do have a chart up there to the left. This is coming from a report that measures the solar activity that is known as the weather, it's called Space Weather Prediction Center, also known as the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. So according to this article, if you guys could actually see the chart right over here, right there, I'm pointing it. You see these years? This is what scientists are predicting, that we are going to peak the solar activity that's coming in, you know, the flashes and stuff, the CMEs, peak, that we are on a rise, and that it's going to peak sometime in the late, I would say 2024. All right, so something big is going to happen between now and the late 2024, according to this graph here on the top left, if you guys could see it. So this information is coming from from NOAA, the forecasts of the Space Weather Prediction Center. So they're saying that I don't want to go through this whole article. It just keeps going and going, but I will read the most important part of the article where it states that during the 24th cycle, which is yet set or scheduled to peak at the end of 2024, that we're going to be receiving the ultimate CME. All right, the ultimate CME, the highest point in which the sun's incoming, coronal ejections, mass coronal ejections, are going to be peaking at the end of 2024 and at the beginning of 2025. According to this graph here to the left, that's where it peaks, guys, right there. If you guys could see that part, that's where it peaks. So it is believed that, I'm just going to read the last paragraph. According to a 2019 panel convened by NOAA, NASA, and the International Space Environment Services, predicted that solar cycle 25, following a relatively weak solar cycle 24, would also be weak, peaking in July 2025 at a maximum sunspot number of 115. Solar cycle 24 was the weakest cycle in 100 years, with sunspot peaking at 116 for the solar cycle, which below average, which is 179. NOAA's new prediction, though larger than the panel prediction, is larger than cycle 24. That would still make the strength of a solar cycle 25. Where is that one paragraph I wanted to read? One second, guys. But it definitely said something, I think I lost it. Something to the effect that by the end of 2024, in the beginning of 2025, we are going to be experiencing the highest CMEs ever, according to this article. Well, anyways, I can't find it at this point. So, yes, I just wanted to share that with you guys. So, pretty much my vision of 2024 is definitely indicating that something big is going to happen sometime in 2024, okay? So, I think that as we get closer, as things continue to climax on this planet, on this realm, I think that we are on the cusp of this, timeline split, this bifurcation that I've been talking about, where, again, the old Earth, right, this crumbling old Earth that was set into motion after the fall of Atlantis is coming to an end, and that the original paradise Earth will be set in place or will be still there for us to reconnect with it. So I believe that the timeline split is going to be coming very, very soon, and it probably corresponds with the peak of the biggest CMEs that are coming at the end of 2024 and at the beginning of 2025. Okay, so there's another thing I wanted to share, which is also very important to understand, is that there is a scientific attempt, you could say, in the scientific community to pretty much integrate, ancient mystical and metaphysical knowledge with cutting-edge science into a theory of everything, where everything is explained, including consciousness, as integrated or as incorporated into the equation of the theory of everything. Okay, so this is information coming from a gentleman who is at the edge of cutting-edge theory, who goes by the name of, one second, what's his name? Oh, here we go. No, that's not it. Okay, so hold on one second. Bear with me, guys. I'm trying to find this thing. Is it this one? No, that's not it. If you guys could give me a moment here, I'm going to read what I wanted to read. No, that's not it. Did I lose it? I think I might have. Let me research it. One second, guys. Oh, here it is. Found it. Sorry about that, guys. It took me a while to find the article. Okay, so the name of the scientist is known as Clee Irwin. His name is spelled Klee. I would look him up because he's probably one of the few scientists next to Thomas Campbell, the author of My Big Toe, which is an attempt to explain the theory of everything, that pretty much supports all of my work and everything that I've been writing about, everything that I've been talking about. The stuff revealed in my book, Our Cosmic Origin. These scientists, especially Klee Irwin, is integrating information that totally ties in to everything that I've been talking about. So he calls it a first principle theory of everything has yet to be achieved. An E8 derived code of quantas, I can't even say it, one second. An E8, and he's definitely talking about some sort of eighth dimensional crystal. Okay, they call it the gossip polytope, I guess, according to this math. But this E8 derived code of quantized space-time could meet the following suggested requirements. First principle explanation of time dilation, inertia, the magnitude of the Planck constant, and the speed of light. Okay, so that is the first principle that they need. The second principle is explanation of the conservation laws and gauge transformation symmetry. So let's break down each principle. So according to the first principle, there is a small scale in which everything's measurable by when it comes to breaking down the third dimension. So the lowest scale scaled in the third dimension is known as a tetrahedron, otherwise known as the Planck length. So by virtue of that, the principle of pixelation is obviously included in the idea that yes, we do live in a simulation. And if we do live in a simulation, therefore reality is pixelated at a very fundamental level. So it is known as the Planck length. So obviously a theory of everything would have to include the idea that the Planck length, the tetrahedron, the smallest unit of measurement, which is 10 to the 34 minus, smaller than a meter, is extremely tiny, guys. But that is what is called a tetrahedron. And that's what gives the illusion of length, width, and a space. Of course, length, width, and space. And of course, time. So that is describing the first principle. The second principle, when it talks about the conservation laws and gauge transformation symmetry, states that that particles at a very subatomic level of reality are actually exchanging with other particles through a phenomena known as gauge symmetry, which means that sometimes this particle could become that particle, and that other particle over there could become another particle, and so on and so forth. And these particles are just changing with one another. So that's another indication that everything is a wave, that everything is fundamentally part of it being a waveform, right? That there is no such thing as atoms. That, atoms, the idea that, what their names are, the people, the materialists, the reductionists, right? Those that support not Darwinian, but God, I forget the name of the guy, Newtonian mechanics, right? They talk about how particles are just set. They're just set in their own, mathematics. But according to the second principle, particles convert into other particles and vice versa. So the third principle is must be fundamentally relativistic with nothing that is invariant being absolute. So what this means is that everything is always non-determined. And they were able to come to that conclusion by understanding by a phenomenon known as the quantum eraser. Now, what is the quantum eraser? According to the quantum eraser, the future and the past are not set in stone. The future is constantly affecting the past, and the past is constantly affecting the future and everything in between. And therefore, according to these principles, the future and the past are actually one and the same. And they're ultimately existing simultaneously with the present moment, of course. And then the fourth principle is the deduction that reality is fundamentally information. Theoretic, all information must be generated by observation and measurement at the simplest Planck scale of the code. So what this fourth principle indicates is that everything in existence is made out of energy, and everything in energy is information. So if energy is information, which that means that ultimately our entire reality is a mathematical program. That's all it is. It's just mathematics, okay? And it's information with meaning. Of course, with information implies that there is meaning. And so according to this principle, everything is made out of information. So that means that everything in existence has a mathematical, it's driven by some sort of mathematical principle, in other words. Now, according to the fifth principle, things are non-deterministic, which means that free will exists. You know, the idea that free will is something that has to be incorporated in some sort of theory of everything. Because according to this idea, a future version of ourselves is actually so advanced that it's actually running the simulation that we are currently experiencing from the past and everything in between, which makes a lot of sense. So we're technically, what we are is we're part of a bigger collection of consciousness or collective consciousness that is expressing itself subjectively through every level of reality. So basically, everything in existence is one big consciousness that is expressing itself through trees, through elements, through animals, through people, through plants, through planets, through galaxies, stars, nebulas, universes, the omniverse. It's all one big it's only one cosmic entity expressing itself through all these different levels of reality. And according to this, so this makes a lot of sense. This, I'm telling you guys, this scientist right now is at the forefront of the theory of everything. And then the sixth principle has a lot to do with computational efficiency. So we've already discovered, or we've already ruled out, that everything in existence, the revolution of planets around stars, right? The acorn seed becoming the acorn tree. We see intelligence in everything. The blooming of a flower, the budding of a flower, giving birth, the gestation process, everything is driven by some sort of an inert intelligence, according to this principle. Now, the next principle, which is probably the most important principle, is consciousness. There has to be consciousness in a grand theory of everything, because without the observer, without the conscious observer, or the effect of a conscious observer, everything collapses back into its waveform. Okay? So consciousness is probably the most important ingredient in the theory of everything. And another principle is the explanation must have a first principles explanation for preferred chirality in nature. Okay, so I don't know what that necessarily means, but so the different principles is consciousness is number one, pixelation, right? That's the second principle. Everything is pixelated at a fundamental level of reality. Then you have causality loops, where the future is constantly influencing the past, and the past is constantly influencing the future, and everything in between. So that's called causality loops, right? And then the fourth principle is the E8 lattice square, which is an 8-dimensional crystal that projects itself into a quasi-4th dimensional crystal, which then further projects itself into a 3rd-dimensional periodic, which gives us a periodic table that makes up the 3rd dimension. And then the other thing, which is also very important, is also known as the golden means ratio. The golden means ratio, which I believe has a lot to do with the code that Tesla gives, 369. Okay, so everything in existence is following, through mathematics, is following some sort of a blueprint program, according to all these principles. So, and then the last principle, I believe, is non-determinism. And what else? Okay, so basically this scientist is the guy who is, his name is Clee Irwin, who is pretty much leading at the cutting edge of physics. He's leading a way to a theory of everything that actually incorporates consciousness. All right, so one thing I like about this idea and about this guy is that he says that he agrees with everything that I've been talking about. He says that just like how our cells, single cells, if you go back to single cells, who formed colonies to better adapt, to think more highly as a collective, and become more complex living organisms, we too eventually become part of a greater, collective organism. And that kind of ties in very beautifully with the raw material, right? Which is the idea that after the fifth dimension, we become part of a collective consciousness, an organic mind hive, or a unimind, right? And as a collective consciousness, we become smarter. We become more, when you combine all of our minds together, we become more intelligent, in other words. So our consciousness, as it becomes a collective, it also further advances into higher states of superintelligences as it continues growing in higher complexities. Well, that explains why a collection of consciousness, right, just like the trillions of cells are working together as a collection of trillions of cells to make up your body. Well, what if all trillions of us together collectively make up the consciousness of the entire universe? So that makes a lot of sense, and that's what this guy's been talking about. So I completely agree with quantum theory, quantum gravity theory research. It's leading the way towards a theory of everything. And as we evolve, we do become part of greater collectives, you could say. And then in turn, these collectives get to experience reality. Let's just say that's how planets are formed. The planetary systems or planetary beings are actually collections of people that have ascended to the sixth dimension as a collective, as a collection of consciousness, to then become the consciousness of a planet. And then in turn, the planet with other planets also form greater complexes to become the body of a what? Of a star. And then in turn, the star with other stars also form a greater complex to become the body of a nebula. And then in turn, the nebula consciousness with other nebulas form an even greater, larger scale collective consciousness to become a galaxy. And then in turn, our galaxy, right, which is the accumulated consciousnesses of all the nebulas, right, of all the stars, of all the planets and all the people, together with other galaxies, create an even bigger collection of consciousness, which is the mind of the universe. And it doesn't just stop there, we do live in a multiverse. So in turn, our universe, right, the consciousness of our universe with other universes, you guys know where I'm getting at, huh? Collectively make up the entire consciousness of the omniverse, which is what we call God, prime creator source. So ultimately, all this information that this guy's digging up completely ties in well with the law, with the raw material, the law of one teachings, and of course everything that I've been talking about, the information in my book. And then there's also another scientist that I completely agree with by the name of Thomas Campbell. Thomas Campbell is the author and writer of My Big Toe, which is another attempt to explain, again, everything involving, all these different principles, right? There has to be consciousness as first and foremost, right? Everything is pixelated, right? The future and the past affect each other and everything in between, right? Everything's made from information, which is mathematics, right? Which in turn gives meaning. Casualty loop. So in a sense, instead of dealing with existence as a linear line from point A to point B, existence is more like the Ouroboros. The Ouroboros, which is the snake eating itself, which means we're dealing with eternity, infinity, right? It's like a massive neural network expanding, one outer space level at a time at a macro level of reality. And so what Thomas Campbell says is that there is this thing called the larger consciousness system, which is what we call God, right? Which is the complexity of a collection of consciousness integrating with other consciousness to make a bigger mind, a bigger brain, which functions at a higher level. So that's what he calls the largest consciousness system, the LHC. He says that we are individualized persons or individualized units of consciousness within the LHC, the largest consciousness system. And what he says is that as individual units of consciousness, that we are actually experiencing this simulation in order to explore and gather more information for the larger consciousness system. So that means that all of our experiences combined, every single person on this planet, not of course the NPCs, but the people that have souls, and all the people in the entire galaxy universe, is all gathering information like sensors for the larger consciousness system, which is the mind of the all, to continue expanding itself into greater complexities and greater order, which makes a lot of sense. So that is what Thomas Campbell calls the idea that, there is, you could say, there is an evolution to things. And the evolution to things is always constantly learning from its experience. He believes, as well as the Irwin guy, and as well as the raw material, that the universe is self-conscious, self-correcting, self-generating, and self-actualizing itself. So in other words, it's almost like God, let's just say prime creator source, which is again what I talk about, right? Undergoes the great descent, which is the division of itself into different parts of it, in different aspects, in order to explore more of itself subjectively. Makes a lot of sense. And so that's what we are, guys. That's how important each and every single one of you guys are. You guys are all individual souls that are connected to a bigger avatar, right? It is believed, according to the secret knowledge, that there are 12 souls. You guys have 11 other people out there, by the way. Every single one of you guys is operating 11 other bodies on the earth right now. And what's going to happen is when we collapse the 12 bodies, we become an avatar. Okay, and that is what our higher self is. But then there is more. Our avatar with other avatars, right? And this is probably where we get the concept of 144,000 collapsing into 12, and then 12 collapsing back into the one. But the avatars, 12 avatars coming together, and each avatar is a composition of 12 souls. So you have 12 avatars with 12 souls, which is 144,000 individual souls in the third dimension, collapsing as we go into higher dimensions into the what? The oversoul. So the avatars collapse into the oversoul, which is equivalent to 144 individualized units of consciousness. Now each oversoul, which is equivalent to 144,000 individualized units of consciousness, also collapses with 11 other oversouls, each one with 144,000 individual units of consciousness, to become the monad. All right, the monad. And the monad is God, which is what we are at the 12 dimensions. So the whole point is Thomas Campbell and this other scientist guy by the name of, what was his name? Clee Irwin, are probably at the, they're correct. They're the ones that are like really trying to use mathematical equations and high-level science to explain that everything in existence is part of a greater consciousness, and that everything is holistic, and that how there's trillions of cells working together to make our body exist. It isn't any different, when it comes to like the trillions of souls in our universe working together to make the bigger organism exist. So ultimately, guys, everything is interconnected and everything is integrated. Okay, so I wanted to start with that. So with that have said, how's everyone doing? I hope you guys are doing good. I hope I was able to explain some of this stuff, but it makes a lot of sense. I'm going to be taking some questions now. All right, so let's go to the top. So we have exactly 395 people on the show. Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. All right, so Only Love 144 says, the timeline split happening in the first couple in November 2023 is directly related to the movement of the planets. Saturn is about to go direct and Pluto is entering the age of Aquarius. Thank you for sharing that. That must be coming from some sort of astrological alignment that is taking place. So yeah, according to this chart, we are heading towards a peak in the, solar flash or CMEs. All right, so we do have a question. Oh, thank you so much for the donation, Gemini Moon. Jason Shurka made a video called Antidote. They put snake venom in the people who accepted the jabber blood work done showed over 22 different venoms. I did hear about that. I did hear that that we're administrating, venom in the Jabadoos. I wouldn't doubt it. It sounds like it's accurate. Yes, it sounds like it's accurate. Well, that explains why a lot of people have been, having blood clots, have been dropping, among other symptoms, secondary side effects. So yes, that is so true. So yeah, guys, if you guys want to study this cutting edge information, check out Thomas Campbell when he talks about the larger consciousness system, and Clee Irwin, the founder and researcher of Quantum Gravity Research Team. Well, that explains how everything is created, right? How planets are formed or coming into existence, how solar systems are being created, galaxies and universes. All it is just collections of people or individuals coming together as a collective, becoming even more intelligent as a collective. Because as a collective, we could get more things done. We become more powerful. And the law of one material, or the raw material, is called becoming part of a social memory complex. That's the terminology they use. Becoming part of a social memory complex, which is what happens when we go into the sixth dimension. And, it continues to happen, again, until we reach the 12th dimension, which means that, that's when we become one with the mind of the entire universe, which is the monad. The monad. So as we go into higher dimensions, we just become part of a greater collective, which makes a lot of sense. All right, another thing I wanted to mention. So at the end of the last live, I did mention something, and I want to clarify a little bit more in detail. I mentioned that a lot of the non-player characters, a lot of these NPCs live in the Middle East, particularly in Israel and around those areas. This doesn't negate the fact that still a lot of innocent souls, with people that are non-NPCs, have been what I mean. It's not their fault, all right? They've been casualties, but yes, a lot of the people in the Middle East are actually NPCs. Okay, but it doesn't negate the fact that a lot of innocent souls are still being murdered. So my prayers go out to the people with souls out there, the innocent people with souls. All right? It's not their fault. So now I'm going to be looking for questions. Yeah, that's another great metaphor by Don Murneys. When a group of athletes work together closely, they become a team. When light workers work together, they create miracles. Absolutely, guys. That is so true. By the way, guys, my birthday is coming up. Like I mentioned, I hate keeping track of my birthday because, when you do that subconsciously, it causes you to age. But my birthday's coming up November 1st, which is a little 8 days from now, a week from now. So I was thinking, before I go off on my book tour, I was thinking about doing some sort of birthday event here in LA, but for only 50 people. It's got to be small. So if you guys think it's a great idea for those that live in California or Southern California, let me know and I'll put a little event together for my birthday coming up on the 1st of November here in Los Angeles before I leave on my book tour. All right, so Abara, thank you so much, Abara, for the donation, sister. And you do have a question. Are you still going to Las Vegas in November for a conference? What are the dates? Yes, I am. Actually, I'm going to be going to the Disclosure Fest, Stairway to the Stars in Luxor. So it's an event that is going to be taking place on the 10th of November, 11 and 12. However, due to the fact that I'm only going to be on panels and I'm only going to be doing lectures on Sunday, I'm not going to be getting there till Saturday afternoon or even in the evening. So I'm going to be there on the 11th and on the 12th. On the 12th, I'm going to be speaking on the AI panel. I'm also going to be speaking on the Ascension panel. And then, of course, at around 6:30 in the evening, I'm going to be breaking down, I'm going to give a 2-hour presentation on the cosmic structure, the different levels, civilizations, races, history, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to be in Vegas from the 11th to the 12th to kick off my book tour at the Luxor Stairway to the Stars Disclosure event. All right, so One Love, oops. Only Love, 144, also has a question. Thank you for the donation. Your question is, yes, Ishmael, the planets are aligning with the shift, specifically Pluto entering Aquarius, which hasn't happened in 250 years. Thank you so much for sharing this, by the way. I'm not too educated in astrology. So for all my astrology experts out there, thank you for sharing your knowledge and wisdom. I appreciate that. Who are the lost souls of Terra and how will they be recovered at the shift? Oh, okay, so that's the second part of your question. Who are the lost souls of Terra and how will they be recovered at the shift? Well, from what I understand is when the morphogenetic fields of Terra, no, not the morphogenetic fields, I'm sorry. When Terra was destroyed, when it exploded, the memories of the Terra civilization remained in morphogenetic fields. And it is believed that a lot of the souls that were, you could say, that were suffering from that destruction or that explosion, a lot of the souls had to actually undergo therapy in a way. They had to undergo a lot of, you could say, due to the trauma, they had to undergo a lot of rehabilitation, all right? And so some of the souls have already reincarnated on the earth. It is believed that, in fact, we could say that the original souls of Terra, how can I say this, are actually the descending whole light beings of light, the celestials. So a lot of them have returned to the earth. But before we returned, we had to undergo some sort of rehabilitation because of what we went through when we were on Terra and the planet exploded. So it is believed that through that rehabilitation, a lot of the souls were able to integrate once again and be able to incarnate on the earth at this time in order to prepare the planet to raise the frequencies to once again match the Terra Earth frequencies. So a lot of you guys, believe it or not, were actually inhabitants of Terra before the destruction took place. So yeah, so now it is believed that the entire healing process of the morphogenetic fields are ready to once again, you could say, be fully intact as if Terra was never exploded. So when the shift takes place, it's already going to be there fully intact, because this corresponds to the idea that on a particular timeline, Terra never was exploded. It was never destroyed. Okay, so again, there's different versions. There's different versions of our reality depending on which timeline you're on. But it is believed that the Terra Earth, in its energetic blueprint, has always been there. And so we will be returning to that when this current reality construct comes to an end. So we have another question by Sylvia Vidal. Thank you so much for the donation. Hi Ishmael, happy early birthday. How old are you now? Will you be streaming your birthday gathering? Well, technically, because I was genetically engineered and I was sent back, I was sent off-world, on 360 years and back. So technically, I'm about 145 years old, Earth years. But again, I was age regressed, and I was blank slated when I was part of these off-world programs. So technically, I'm 150 years old. But I'm excited. I don't think I'm going to be aging like you guys here. I don't think we're going to be aging anymore. So I don't want to think of that number as a figure, it's just a number. But, just to give you guys my age, let's just say I am in mid 40s. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, technically I should be 150 or so. All right, so One Love 144 says, Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth. The last time it entered into Aquarius was right after 1776, which was 250 years ago. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you, thank you. Yes, Thomas Campbell is the other scientist. Again, proving the idea that we live in a simulation and that our bodies are used to interface with the third dimension. All right, so we do have a question from Roland. Roland, what's your last name? Frappier. Roland Frappier. Ishmael, thank you for your devotion. Would you know how long we still have to wait to be freed of this enslavement? Like I said, I showed you guys the graph that the solar activity, the CME peaks, in the middle of 2024 and at the beginning of 2025. So hopefully the white hats do their thing before that. But when the solar flash takes place, we do know that all wickedness and all evil are going to be eliminated. So it's coming, guys. It's coming. Yes, Gina Bobek says, we are all over the place in the cosmos, which is Creator God. That's right. We do, guys. According to these scientists, not only do we exist here, and I've said this before, see, they always validate everything that I've been talking about for the last year and a half. But we also exist in Atlantis. We exist in other dimensions. We're existing everywhere at once. Okay, that's how vast our consciousness is. And we exist in every point in every coordinate in the time-space continuum in every dimension, pretty much. So, and it's all happening simultaneously, by the way. And that explains why, our future self could still affect the past. Me tomorrow could affect me today. Me as a baby could affect me when I was 6. And me right now could affect me when I was 6 years old. I mean, it's all happening in one eternal now, where it's like whatever, it's all affecting each other, like a casualty loop. Again, it's the Ouroboros snake eating its tail. It's all one consciousness. And that's what we are, guys. We are part of that one consciousness field. So every single experience is validated. Every single experience is needed in order for the larger consciousness system, right? According to Thomas Campbell, he calls it the larger consciousness system. In order for the larger consciousness system to continue evolving. I'm just looking for questions. Yeah, rumor has it that the Nasera Gesera, the EBS, is coming sometime at the end of October. They're giving dates. My problem with giving dates is that they've been doing that for many years. Okay, it's like they're dangling the carrot in front of us, right? Because everybody wants to witness the fall of the cabal. Everybody wants to be part of the new financial system so that we could stop being slaves to the system. The best thing to understand, guys, is that depending on where your energy, your attention goes, that's where your energy flows. So make sure that you put your energy into the positive timeline where all of this stuff happens. The more of us do so, the more of us do that, the faster we're going to speed things up, because everything's based, again, on our consciousness and our perception of things. We could all literally stop feeding into the current system, and that includes the government, the economy, the educational system, the pharmaceutical cartel, and it could all collapse by not feeding it our consciousness anymore and only putting our awareness into things that we enjoy, things that we wish to experience, things that we desire for humanity. We all have that power. So this is another question from Kathy Kurg. Ishmael, you are really giving a lesson. Thank you. You're welcome. You're welcome. Yes, I like that. Shakina says, in order to explore and gather more information for the mind of the all. Absolutely. Do you guys have any questions for me? Not to mention, guys, the audio version of my book, or Cosmic Origin, is available. If you guys like to hear it instead of reading it, it's 11 hours long, 19 chapters. It's a good book to listen to when you're driving, when you're walking, when you're exercising, or when you're just going about your day. Trenton Williams has a question. Thank you so much for the donation, brother. My wife is not really into this stuff, but do talk to her about it. She has been having recurring dreams of her and I working as undercover agents, saving kids from trafficking. Wow. Okay. So the fact that she's having these dreams could be indicated that, or could indicate that perhaps you and her, either on this current timeline and your memories were wiped, you guys were part of the super soldier operation, white hat team, or perhaps you were doing that on an alternative version of the earth. Because sometimes dreams, believe it or not, guys, sometimes our dreams reveal to us lives in other alternative realities. So this is interesting that you said that, because especially since she doesn't believe in this stuff. So it sounds to me more like perhaps she's having dreams of doing this, but on an alternative reality, on an alternative earth, which is very, very, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that, brother. Just looking for questions. If I laugh or smile is because I can't help but to read your conversation. I love your humor, guys. You guys are awesome. All right, this is a good one by Adi. Adi says, there is awareness and levels beyond consciousness. God is not just consciousness, man is. That's why man must remember himself beyond consciousness. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that, Adi. Well, I've always believed that consciousness and light and frequency vibrating at the highest vibration is what God is. And what is the highest vibrating frequency emanated from? From love, compassion, unconditional love. All right, so we have a question from Donnie. Donna says, what is going on with our moon? Well, like I said before, our moon has been colonized by different extraterrestrials for thousands of years, and it actually has been used as a docking satellite for many different extraterrestrial forces, as well as a spying satellite, for these extraterrestrial forces. But recently, ever since the 50s, our breakaway groups have been going to the moon, and so now our moon is under the control of our own breakaway groups, no longer, the extraterrestrial species. A lot of the negative extraterrestrials that were running the show on our moon for thousands of years have been eliminated by Solar Warden. Who is Solar Warden? Solar Warden is the Interplanetary Police Force. They are a benevolent breakaway group that broke off in the late 1950s, early 60s, to counteract all the malicious activities that were being conducted by the Dark Fleet and the Interplanetary Corporate Conglomerate, which are the nefarious breakaway groups that align themselves with the negative alien agenda. So right now our moon is currently being occupied by Solar Warden, the Earth Alliance, and it has been reconstructed actually to serve the restoration of the Earth, which means that a lot of the med beds and a lot of these advanced technologies have been mass produced on our moon in the last 3 years, okay? In the last 3 years, or maybe even 4 years now. I'm looking for questions. Okay, here's one. Nicole Antoinette. I hope I said your last name right, Nicole. Ismael, what do you plan on doing for your birthday gathering? Well, for those that live in Southern California, if you guys want to come spend my birthday with me, I am planning on having a book event where I sign your book, where I do a lecture, and then we do Q&A in person. All right, so let me know on the comments and on the chat if you guys want me to have a birthday event here in the Los Angeles area on the 1st, which is in a week. And I'll go ahead and plan it, but it'll only be for 50 people. So the first 50 people, that want to go, let me know. To kick off, going into my book tour through the States, I want to do at least one here in LA for my birthday. The dreams are getting more closer. Lucas H says, the dreams are getting more intense the closer we get. That's right, there are. Thank you guys for hitting the smash button. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. All right, Wolfie has a question. Let me see. Wolfie has a question. All I know is 2013, life went completely crazy and I felt like I was in another world. Okay, so it's not a question, it's a statement. The Liberated Healer podcast. Hey, how you doing, Gina? Your question is, can you tell us about Lyra? Well, what was Lyra like? Okay. So Lyra was a beautiful, beautiful Earth-like planet. Luscious green, everywhere. Blue, clear oceans, mountains, rivers. It was just nature everywhere. We had 12 moons. Believe it or not, we had 12 moons. We also had different solar suns. We were part of the Sirius star system. So we had the Vega star. We also had Sirius B shining down on us and Sirius A. So we were part of the Sirius trinary star system. We had 12 moons. And the inhabitants were very much like the Pandorians of the movie Avatar. Very highly spiritually evolved, very connected with the ecosystem, in tune with the ecosystem. So the original Lyrans were they were 12-dimensional humans existing on every dimension and were very involved in the symbiotic relationship of all natural living, organic elements, crystals, plants, and the planet itself, to the point where they were able to create beautiful architectural, natural, organic architectural structures, cities, and beautiful, beautiful parks. And it was very magical. When I think of Lyra, I think of castles with rivers and just greenery everywhere. I think of fairies. I think we did have dragons. We did have felines, and there were benevolent dragons. So it was very magical. Kind of reminds me of kind of like Lord of the Rings. So yeah, Lyra was the most beautiful paradise world ever. And the felines were our protectors in Lyra. They were the first ones to evolve on Lyra before the humans came onto the scene. Then, of course, later we come to find out that the felines allowed for the first humans to come into existence that migrated from other galaxies, contributing their DNA to create the original human being here in our universe, in the cradle of Lyra. So the original human being was blonde hair and blue eyes. We also had the blue-skinned people that came from the Vega star system. They had several planets that they occupied. We had Avion, which was the main planet. That was where King Amelius, the incarnated version of Michael, was at the head of the Lyran Council. We also had planet Avalon, and then we also had planet Apex. We also had other planets like planet Terek and planet Belak. Any other planets that were colonized? There were several of them, actually. The entire system of Lyra was colonized. And it was just the most beautiful paradisical worlds that you can even think of. And again, they didn't use external technology. They used their natural organic light body to create create their fleets. So their spaceships was an extension of themselves. And so they traveled through their light body. So their light body, Merkaba, would allow them to pretty much transmigate into the different dimensions and to also space travel into other worlds. So they were intimately connected with their spacecraft. They were intimately connected with their regenerating technologies, with the elements of their planet. So they were a full functioning, spiritual, active civilization, pretty much. To answer your question, liberated healer. All right, so we do have another question from Senia. Senia, thank you so much for the donation. And your question is, do the starseeds aware they have implants on them to monitor by the Galactic Soul Family about it? It protect me from harm, but I have no privacy. I want to know who is my soul family that will receive me when I pass. Yes, that is very true. Not all implants are negative. Some of them have been given to us by our soul galactic families in order to protect us and monitor us. And yes, the bad thing about that is that you're always being monitored. So when you think you have privacy, you technically don't. They're watching you 24/7. And that is just because of the fact that you have a very important role to play in the ascension of the earth. So there's nothing wrong with having, positive implants. And also they keep you healthy from poison. They keep you healthy from the, frequency towers, all that bad stuff, the poisoning of the food. It keeps you alive. So I wouldn't see it as a bad thing. And then, let me see, another question from Marilyn. Marilyn Singuimani. Singuimani. I hope I said your last name right, sister. Thank you so much for the donation. And your question is, can you describe our lifestyle and what be doing in the fourth? Let me read that again. Can you describe our lifestyle and what would we be doing in the fourth and fifth dimension? Okay, so the fourth dimension is going to be fourth density reality, still better than this realm, not as dense. People are going to be living for a few hundred years, not thousands of years. People are going to be healed. People are going to be healthy. People are going to have access to positive technologies of light. It's going to be likened to a Star Trek society. But for people that go into the fifth dimensional Earth, it's going to be more magical. It's going to be more like bringing it back to the natural, organic way of doing things. So the difference is that people in the fifth dimension are going to have the opportunity to go into the fourth density reality at will, and then pop back into the fifth density reality at will. So that's the difference. Fifth dimensional Earth, we won't need any external technology. Again, just like the Lyrans, we're going to be using our own inner technology, our crystalline double diamond genetics, right? Our light body is going to come back on. And so once again, we're going to be able to create spacecraft as an extension of our light body, right? By fusing the natural elements of the Earth, the stones and the crystals. So we're going to be flying our spacecraft as an extension of ourselves in the fifth dimension. And we're going to be able to go anywhere we want, anywhere in the cosmos. All right, so we have another. Oh, Anna Villa, thank you so much for the donation and for the little cartoon character saying you are amazing. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That is so true. I just lost the question. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Where was that question? For those that haven't taken my online course, Starseed Cosmology, guys, it is 6 hours of 20 years of research condensed into 6 hours. A lot of information. A lot of information. I believe the next class starts November, the second week or third week, or no, first or second week of November. For those that want to take my Starseed Cosmology course under themysticarts.com. It is recommended. And again, guys, don't forget to get the audio version of my book. For those who don't have the audio version, it's beautiful to just listen to the cosmic and celestial tale come alive. All right, so I'm not going to be going to Kansas City, Missouri anymore because nobody's out there. It's in the middle of nowhere. So I'm just going to be going to Salt Lake City, Utah on the 14th. On the 16th, I'll be in Colorado. I'm also going to be going to New York. No, I'm sorry, St. Louis, Missouri. My bad, St. Louis, Missouri. I'm also going to be going to Smithtown, New York. And what's the other one? Anyways, I'll let you guys know. I'll put the link in the description for those that want to come join me on my book tour event. Well, there was this question that I wanted to read, but I lost it. So now I'm going to have to just continue on here. So this is a good question. How does economy and government work in the fourth D? Well, in the fourth D, the economy is going to be a living quantum organic made out of crystal, right? A living crystal consciousness, an organic quantum system that is going to be connected with everybody's hearts. So the more love and compassion you exert, the more you're going to be having coming your way. So even in the fourth D earth, we're going to have heaven on earth, because the people that are going to be receiving most of the finances for humanitarian programs are going to be those that have the highest level of love. And government is going to be more like a real democracy, where people are, like I said in my book, there's going to be 22 different federated regions, each with its own infrastructure. And these 22 federated regions are going to make up the world. Together, they're going to be part of a world democratic forum in which members could come and sit in council and partake in decisions for the greater collective. So it's going to be a true democratic global system where even within the 22 federated regions, we're going to have smaller councils, similar to how we have the states, and then we have county councils, and then we have city councils. So it's going to be very similar to that, except it's going to be a true democracy in the fourth D earth. However, in the fifth D earth, there will be no government. It's just going to be a spiritual council of elders that are going to be overseeing, everything. And every person in the fifth D earth is going to be a government unto themselves. We're going to have pretty much absolute freedom. Shakina, thank you so much for the donation and for the number 1. Your question is, God bless you, Ishmael. Just wondering, do you believe in portals created by love? Well, when it comes to spiritual civilizations, I think it's all created by love. Everything they do is created by love, yes. Whether it's a portal that they're opening up, whether it's a city that they're constructing, whether it's a spaceship that they're, using to travel to other star systems, it's all created by love. So yes, that's true. Love is like when it comes to spiritually advanced cultures, love is like the fundamental, the underlying, feeling, the underlying that moves everything. All right, so here we have another question about Lyra by Ron Grubb. He says, "Hi Ishmael, in Lyra there is a nebula called the Ring Nebula. Is this what's left of a planet that the reptilians hit with a planet buster?" Yes, a lot of planets were destroyed in the Ring Nebula. Unfortunately, in one version of the galaxy, the Lyrans were peacefully exploring other systems, and so they expanded to different, to the the Ring Nebula as they were exploring different planets and resources. Unfortunately, the reptilians arrived and launched a straight-out war against the Lyrans in the Ring Nebula, and that was the first massacre of the Lyrans before the wars reached planet Avion. So that incident that took place on the Ring Nebula is what pretty much led to the galactic wars that lasted millions and millions of years. But yeah, man, that's when the reptilians first encountered the Lyrans, the humans and Lyrans, or the humans of Lyra, and launched an attack, a straight-out attack. And I believe how many Lyrans? 500,000 Lyrans were killed. And then, of course, the few that remained or survived went back to Avion to report to Amelius, the king of Lyra, that there was a hostile race out there that was trying to control the entire galaxy and that they were very destructive. All right, so we have another question by Only Love 144. Thank you so much for the donation. Can you please talk about what it would be like to be the guardians of the new Earth? That's a very good question. Well, when I think of how, once we activate our dormant powers, right, and integrate into higher versions of ourselves, guys, we're going to be like the Greek gods, but 100 times more powerful. So when I think of us in the new Earth, I think of the Justice Team, the Justice League, or I think of the Avengers, except it's going to be a lot of us, not just a few. I think of all the starseeds with these powers that are not only going to be guardians of the new Earth, but from this Earth, we're also going to be guardians of the multiverse, as this Earth in our solar system becomes the epicenter of the multiverse within the super universe of Orvonton. So I imagine us to be very likened to the Avengers, to the Justice League, so that's how I picture us to be. Now, as far as like us wearing tights or togas, that's totally up to you. I'm going to be wearing a toga, though. I like the toga wear, the toga outfit, right? And the cape, like Thor. I'm just kidding. But yeah, guys, we're going to be super powerful. And just like Captain Marvel, part of our duty is to scan the entire universe and see what's, if anything wrong is happening so that we could go fix the problem. And all the aliens are going to be, they're going to have to live accordingly to the law of one. Otherwise, they're going to get their heinies kicked by us. There's a reason why we're going to have so much power, guys. There's a reason. Because, we are God's most, you could say up there, we were God's most obedient and most, what's the word I'm looking for? Most loyal guardian or angel. So that's why, the most powerful ones are the ones that came down to the earth. And then the next part of your question is, with all the starseeds that ascend into the first wave, be a part of this? Yes, absolutely. All the starseeds that are ascending in the first wave are going to have access to their abilities. And in turn, that's going to activate the other starseeds to also have access to supernatural abilities. Very true. You're so welcome. You're so welcome. So we have another question from Irina Feiner. Thank you so much for the donation, sister. Dear Ismael, I would like to go to Las Vegas on November 11 and 12. Where in Vegas this event are you going to be? It's going to be at the Luxor. Just on your browser, type in Disclosure Fest Stairway to the Stars in Vegas at the Luxor, and it'll give you information on the event. All right, so here's another question from Mary Jane G. Mary Jane G. She says, any time will be the same when we come back to the fourth D. No, not necessarily. Okay, so how can I explain this? All right, so Einstein believes that the fourth dimension is time. I don't think so. I think that once we go into the fourth D, the concept of time changes. It's not so much as physical and as real as it exists in our realm or 3D, but it's a little different. However, in the fifth dimensional Earth, there is no time. There is no time. Everything is just part of the eternal now. All right, so we have another question from Abara. Thank you so much for the donation. Oh, I've already answered that. So, yeah. In the fourth D, time is going to be a lot less dense and not as effective as in the third D, right? And that explains why Earth Terrans, as they evolve in increments, are going to be able to live for a few hundred years. But there's still going to be a sense of time. But it's going to be different than the way we perceive time here in 3D. But again, in the 5D Earth, no time. All right, so Kathy Kerg has a question. When am I scheduled to be talking with Lee Carroll? I believe that episode airs, I think she said sometime in the 12th or 13th of November, or maybe even the 15th. But in the second week of November, that episode airs. All right, so are any of your book tours, are they going to be broadcast on YouTube or media? I don't think so. Unfortunately not, guys, just because, we're trying to keep it kind of personal to those people that are attending. It's going to be on a personal level. Whoever goes, gets to listen to my my 2-hour presentation. I guess actually it's going to be about an hour and a half and then questions and answers. I don't know. Who knows? I'll ask permission. I might, to the people that are helping me put the event together, to see if I could record some of it at least to put it on social media. But we'll see. Thank you guys very much for hitting the smash button. The like button. For smashing the like button. For hitting the smash button. I laugh at myself sometimes. Oh, there you guys go. See, the link to my events is here already. Cool. All right, let's see. So Sunny Lovelight is concerned about the school, right? Any idea about the school? Kids are suffering, so much of it. My daughter is extremely exhausted. Guys, why won't you homeschool? Those schools are run by Satanists. I'm sorry to say that, but the entire educational system is corrupt. But don't get me wrong. There are a few teachers out there, I'm not going to generalize, but there are a few teachers who are really good and who really make a difference, all right? I even had one in high school. I had a teacher who really made a difference in my life, and he actually inspired me to become a professor at a university level, which was my first wish. I wanted to be a professor in philosophy and political science and in physics, or quantum physics. And that was Mr. Olson. So if Mr. Olson, who was my sophomore year English teacher, if he ever listens to this video, just want to give him a shout out. Mr. Olson, thank you so much for being a positive influence in my life and inspiring me to do research, by the way. Thank you, Mr. Olson. See, it's teachers like Mr. Olson who make a difference. But yeah, I'm sorry to say this, but the entire educational system for the most part stinks. So I'm sorry to hear about your daughter. All right, so we have another question by Kat in Canada. Thank you so much for the donation. You mentioned a first wave of ascension. Please explain the waves of ascension. Well, the different waves are in direct reference to how advanced the soul is. So most of the star seeds come from harmonic universe 2, which is dimensions 4, 5, and 6. A smaller number of star seeds come from harmonic universe 3, which is dimensions 7, 8, and 9. A smaller group of star seeds also come from harmonic universe 4, and those are the Elohim. They come from dimensions 10, 11, and 12. Those are the avatars, And then there is a small group, only about 13 individuals, that come from harmonic universe 5, dimensions 13, 14, and 15. So those 13 individuals that are already here, that are like cosmic rishis, they're going to be the first ones to activate, and in turn, those 13 individuals are going to activate about 100 individuals who descended from harmonic universe 4, and then those 100 individuals are going to activate 144,000, and then the 144,000, which are part of harmonic universe 3, are going to activate the millions and millions of star seeds that come from harmonic universe 2. So that's how it's going to happen. It's going to be quick though. One is going to activate the other, and then so on and so forth, when it happens. All right, Elizabeth, thank you so much for the donation and for the three for Trinity, right? Mind, spirit, and body. Father, mother, child. Just a thank you gift. How are you doing financially? Can we help? Guys, I'm actually okay. I'm not struggling, but I'm not where I want to be in order for me to just, go full force. But it's, with the grace of the universe, it's heading there. I want to get to the point where I could just finish my book, my other book that I've been working on for over, I think, a little under a year. I'm sorry. So it's like I haven't had a chance to really work on it because I've been so busy. So, this is helping a lot. Every single donation helps, by the way, just to let you know. Of course, only donate if you feel it in your heart. But other than that, it's all good. It's all good, guys. Frank Schultz. Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for that very generous donation of you, and for the cartoon character doing martial arts, saying super. Because in the end, that's what we are, guys. We are super beings. Thank you so much for that. Appreciate that, brother. Let's see. I'm looking for questions besides reading the comments as well. Oh, this is another good question by Donnie. She wants to know, what was Lemuria? Well, Lemuria originated as the land of Mu, which was part of the second seeding of the forces of light approximately 1 million years ago in the Pacific Ocean. And again, just like the early Lyrans, they were just like the Pandorians. They had no external technology. They used a high level of spirituality to use their consciousness to control the elements. And just like the early spiritual Lyrans, they were very spiritually advanced. So we had two types of Lemurians. We had the quasi-etheric ones, the ones that were multidimensional beings. And then we had an ascending type that was evolving from the bottom up, known as the Lemur type, which of course we know later gave us the Neanderthal, the Homo habilis, the Homo erectus that evolved from the lemur type. So we had two coexisting beings in Lemuria. We had the descending celestial beings from different star systems, and mainly from Sirius, by the way, and Lyra, of course. And then we also had the Lemur type, which was more of a ascending from the bottom up, gradual condensing into physical form, known as the primitives. Yes, we are going to have whatever name you were before you incarnated into this realm. When the activation takes place of our dormant DNA, all of our memories as to who we are and all the other timelines and all the dimensions is going to come to us. So we're going to know exactly what our real original spiritual name is. Absolutely. Tracy Ann Moon says, I feel a deep gut feeling right now, like anxious feeling as if something big is close. Likewise, sister, I think a lot of us are picking up on something big that is, inevitable, and it's coming. Patricia, thank you so much for the generous donation. Thank you so much, sister. I appreciate you. Yeah, a lot of us were high priest and high priestess in Lemurian and Atlantean times. Also in Lyra, as well as in the Pleiades and other free star systems. And we're returning to that. That's how the fifth dimensional Earth is going to be. It's going to be the restoration of the mystery school teachings, right? The spiritual initiation of priest and priestess. Once again, the Melchizedek brotherhood and sisterhood will ring again on this planet once again. The age of love and light. So we have exactly 92 minutes in. Wow, I've been at this for over an hour and a half. So I'm looking for any final questions. All right, so without any further ado, I don't see any more questions. I want to give, as a reminder, guys, I'm canceling my Kansas, Missouri, because it's in the middle of nowhere and nobody is there. Again, my birthday's coming up on the 1st of November, which is in a week. For those of you that live in Southern California, if you guys want me to do an event, let me know, and I'll do one before I go on my book tour. So I just want to read off the places and locations as well. One second, so that way people could get their tickets. Okay, so this is, all right, so this is the, where I am expected to go. So I'm going to be starting off again at Disclosure Fest in Vegas on the 11th and 12th of November. I'm going to be speaking on the 12th. I'm going to be on a few panels. And then I'm going to go to Salt Lake City, Utah on the 14th of November. And then on the 16th of November, I'm going to be in Denver, Colorado. And then on the 20th, I'm going to be in St. Louis on the 20th of November. And then I'm going to be in Farmingdale, New York. Farmingdale, is that New York on the 28th? Yes, it is. Farmingdale, New York on the 28th. And then I'm going to be Boca Raton in Vegas. Boca Raton, Florida on the 4th of December at the Energy Room. And then I'm going to be in Naples on the 6th of December. So those are events that are still happening. All right, so we do have another super chat by Joyful. Joyful, thank you so much for the donation, your generous donation. Thank you. Ismael, are we running on the Julian or Gregorian calendar? And what is the real year and current date? Well, I believe that the Julian and the Gregorian calendar are all one and the same, right? They are the calendar imposed by the Dark Brotherhood of the Cabal throughout all of history, which is not in alignment with the natural cycles. So we've been operating under a wrong timekeeping system for thousands of years. The real calendar, the real sacred calendar, is actually 12 to 14 years off, I believe. So, which means that the real 2012 is actually 2024. So that's why I've always believed that 2024 will be the year of the great shift. But again, due to the timeline war that is taking place in the future, right, between Time Corps, who are the guardians of the looking glass, and the AI, things are constantly fluctuating. But what we do know, as I revealed in, last week's live, that the current reality construct does come to an end by no later than 2030. So we do know that, but hopefully it happens sooner. And then, just as indicated here in the graph, if you look in the top left-hand side here, the biggest CME is expected at the end of 2024 and the beginning of 2025. That's when we're supposed to be expecting the biggest CME ever. So that could be the solar flash. To answer your question, Joyful, yes, we are operating under the different timekeeping system that is not in alignment with the menstrual cycle of a woman, with the natural cycles of the elements, and of course the cycles of planets revolving around stars around the galactic core, so on and so forth. All right, with that have said, I just wanted to thank everyone for being here. You guys are so much loved and appreciated, each and every single one of you guys. Thank you so much. And again, guys, I'm excited about my book tour. I really want to meet some of you guys. So hopefully I can meet a lot of you guys during my book tour. So leave it in the comments. If you guys want me to do some sort of a birthday event here in the Los Angeles area, it's only going to be for 50 people. Go ahead and put it in the comments, and I will go ahead and arrange that before I leave in November, or the second week of November. What else? Oh yes, let me see, anything else? Oh, that's it. And don't forget to get the audio version of my book, or Cosmic Origin. All right, guys? Have a beautiful, beautiful... Oh, wait. All right, one last super chat, and then I'll excuse myself. So this is a super chat by Gemini Moon. Thank you so much for the generous donation, sister. Happy birthday, Ismael. In case I can't make it, you're very appreciated. Thank you, Gemini Moon. Thank you. Appreciate your sister as well. All right, guys. Well, this is where I say, may the God force be with you, always. And never dim your light for anyone. By the way, never dim your light for anyone. In fact, radiate that light as much as possible. All right, guys? May the God force be with you guys. I will see you guys at another time.